Swiggity sorty, let's get that booty.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode for another week. It's nice to see y'all came back. My name is SlimCogcast, and unfortunately, I'm black. Let's hop on in to what we got on the docket and start off with what I've been watching, reading for this week. I wanted to jump into another anime, but I didn't want to go straight off binge mode like I usually do, because I wanted to break up the monotony and finish off a comic book that I've been trying to finish. Let's see, I started reading this comic like back in 2014, and I think I waited so they can, finish releasing them up and then I could catch up on them. So now that the series has ended, and so I've been told, I've been reading it nonstop. I think I caught you all up about it last week, which is the Mega Man Archie comic. I am on like the last 2 issues of the series. I would have been much further along if I weren't so busy during the latter half of the week, but we did get a lot of things done in terms of gameplay and a lot of different experiences, and I did some streaming, quite a bit of streaming this week actually. So I am proud of that. And hopefully, there'll be even more things to come. So how about we jump on in and I give you a little rundown of what's been going on. So basically, there's been a huge Avengers, what's the word I'm looking for? Avengers Infinity War Endgame moment where Mega Man teamed up with Mega Man X, who teamed up with Sonic the Hedgehog, who teamed up with Sonic Boom characters, who teamed up with Sonic Battle characters. Like, everybody was there. Team Chaotix. They had Street Fighter characters, Golden Axe, Skies of Arcadia. It was insane. Everybody was there of the Sega and Capcom IP that you could think would be like flagship famous, Sega and Capcom titles. Even Arthur from Ghosts and Goblins, Ghosts and Goblins. So many characters were included, and they all joined together for an all-out war against Sigma 1, 2, and 3 from their respective first 3 X games and the Sigma virus. Now, thanks to Xander Payne, the leader of the Emerald Spears, which was like a terrorist group that was supposed to be anti-robotics, turns out he gained the ability to time travel, and he used his time travel initially to try and devise something evil, but it ended up giving him a wisdom about the future and how things were going. And that's when he learned that robotics themselves weren't evil, but actually the people who were making the robots evil, which is an amazing metaphor about, humans and the humans that we create when we procreate and what we teach them as we raise them. Which is why I love Mega Man lore. It's always so deep and amazing. Now, from there, the fight scenes were enjoyable. Everything was great. It was Dire Straits. Everything was getting down to the nitty gritty and all, panic until the big flashy hero finishes. Mega Man did a freaking Genki Dama. And for those who don't know what a Genki Dama is, it is a spirit bomb. Those who don't know what a spirit bomb is, it comes from DragonBall, which is one of the most powerful techniques out there, which is a single blast gathering energy so huge above your head, a huge orb of energy, which is gathering energy from all plant life, animal life, all around the planet. And at times, once he gathered from the entire galaxy and universe to make one huge spirit bomb. So this is the thing. I enjoyed it immensely. I liked it. The only gripe you could ever have is that the fights didn't last long enough because, of course, comic book, and it can only go for so many pages. So I can't really, fault them for that. So I'm not even going to list that as a negative or a drawback. In my opinion, this comic is so full of soul. And it's so amazing. Like, I've been enjoying it more than I think I have, and I thought I would, And I would love to see it in animated form. Like, that's what we're missing. If manga becomes anime, there's not enough comics that become animated series. And by that, I mean, there's not enough comics outside of DC and Marvel that are getting any type of representation on the television screen. And I would say that this is the ripe time to do so. Like, Netflix, the same way that TV was running out of ideas in 2008, 9, and 10, and they were just reaching from comic books and then just perverting comic book stories and representations and putting them into movies immediately, like they did with Kick-Ass, like they did with Wanted and Scott Pilgrim. Like, Netflix, of all people, should be smart enough to just turn to comic books and go, you know what? Let's pick this shit up and get it animated. Call up those artists and get some more artists and hire them up so they can fill in between frames of animation and get these guys to make a quality, good looking work of art. Like, that would be dope, because the art itself of every cover art and every panel, I will say that some of the Worlds Collide, which is the Avengers Endgame era of the comic, Worlds Collide had a bit of loss in quality when it came to the art. Yeah, I'll say that wholeheartedly. It dipped in quality a little bit, but not, directly quality like it was just bad art, but mostly just a different attention to detail that was a jarring compared to the previous panels. So you could obviously tell it was done by a different artist, because they probably, comic books, sometimes they have like a guest artist come and do, half a book or entire issue or half an issue, or they would, just do one part or two, things like that. So it might be possible that part dipped in quality because it was probably the Sonic artist that did the Mega Man art, and Mega Man was noticeably a little more jank. But not that important. Let's move on. Ultimately, good comic, still enjoying it. Where I left off was Proto Man finally coming to grips with who he is, and they're gearing up for Mega Man 4 Robot Masters, because I saw that Wily was building a Starman, which is one of the helmets, was in one of the panels. And Starman was in Mega Man 4, if I recall correctly. He was in Mega Man 4, and we'll most likely see that coming up. But right now they're doing like a in between, a little side arc about Proto Man and him coming to grips with his personality and identity crisis. And it's very enjoyable for that as well. Now, aside from the comic, one of the first things that I want to also talk about that I played this week, I've been playing a lot of Dark Souls 3 this week, co-oping it with a friend. What I told you guys about last week, because we've been doing pretty good with it, and I've been enjoying myself immensely because I'm good at avoiding spoilers. Okay, if there was ever a superpower, one of my superpowers would be avoiding spoilers, and I have avoided being spoiled by Dark Souls 3 ever since the DLC came out, ever since the game came out. And I didn't play Dark Souls 3 until the summer of 2019. And I didn't play the DLC until now. And I've just finished the second part of the DLC, The Ring City. I've just learned all the lore. I haven't really looked into it very, very deep so far, but just from playing it, and knowing so much about the lore, I can pretty much piece together what I've seen and, what I've read out of the item descriptions. So it would seem this guy, Slave Knight Gale, was so dedicated to making a new painted world that he friggin' became all hollowed out. And at the same time, it's like his final boss fight, his whole purpose was linking Dark Souls to Bloodborne. And that's so sick. The freaking fight with him, it was so sick. Like, I almost regret not doing it solo, because I always love to do my boss fight solo on my first run, but we make sacrifices. I think I told y'all that last week, but anyway, yeah, Slave Knight Gale, bro. It's so much in his design that's so cool, because you see remnants of him still there, but he's all gangly and deformed and whatnot. So there's parts, but him being bigger and more animal-like, like beast-like, is showing like the beast, the blood beast infection, that's coursing through him, or the birth of it. Maybe his blood is the old blood they really referred to that became the basis of the hunter's blood transfusion. So who knows? Because he was like, when you beat him in his first form, he goes, the cutscene, he says, he bleeds a bit right on the ground in front of him, and then he says, so this is the blood of the dark soul. And so that just means that the blood that you've been transfusing throughout Bloodborne was just the blood of the dark soul. So one could say that a person, because he was going around trying to collect dark souls from the kings of the pygmy kingdom, and he was just, apparently accumulating so many of them that the sheer blood of that thing is so powerful that it has so many different otherworldly, mysterious, transformation abilities. Or I guess you could say transmutation abilities. But anywho, I feel like it's a direct link to Bloodborne directly, because it's almost blatant, because the final boss fight, his entire moveset, Slave Knight Gale's moveset was the exact same. I won't say the exact same, but very similar to what's his name? The Orphan of Kaz, or some say Kazum. But yeah, the Orphan of Kaz was a boss fight that I could never forget. That moveset. I could never. Son, that game, that boss fight, oh my god, in that DLC was so damn hard. Like, it makes no sense how hard this shit was. Like, you don't get good at that boss fight just by beating the game a couple of times. No, I've co-opted and I've beaten the when it comes to Bloodborne, I've beaten it solo like 4 times. I've beaten every single piece of content, like co-oping, man, I don't know how many times. But when it comes down to the Orphan of Kaz, I've beaten the Orphan of Kaz at least 30 times. So I know how to cheese him by abusing visceral attacks and, using your gun in order to stagger him and whatnot. So that's one way to do it. Another way, just spamming him with serrated weapons and whatnot, and trying your best to trade aggro if you co-op and try to trade aggro. But the huge difference between Slave Knight Gale and the Orphan of Kaz, though, is that the Orphan of Kaz has 720, so you're not exactly safe whether you're behind him or not. Slave Knight Gale, you can pretty much trade aggro by one person at least standing on either side of him, and then just trade aggro by hitting him whenever he turns his back to you. So that's one way, and just knowing, when certain attacks you need to run away from or dodge out of. So yeah, but all in all, enjoyed it. Good shit. Very enjoyable. I need to dive more into that lore, because now I'm back excited again, and I need to know exactly what the hell was going on. So anyway, to get back at it, it was great. We beat it. It felt like a great sense of camaraderie, and the first time that my first experience was beating a Soulsborne boss through jolly cooperation on my first impression. And I gotta say, it felt good just to do that with a friend, And speaking of which, that segues directly into the next thing. That friend and I decided, I said, wait, do you have Nioh? Because I've also beaten Nioh this past 2019 summer. And it was a very enjoyable experience as well. Very obtuse, different, and slightly too much repeating of the same environments, but still a very good game. Hard as hell, super challenging, but fair. Now, well, except for some bosses. Some boss fights was just fucking unfair, dog. But as long as you know the game, learning the game is like more than half the battle with Nioh. Knowing the mechanics is like more than half the battle. But the way that I've seemed to understand it is, I thought that it was just as seamless of a co-op system as the Souls game, but it's similar, but just a little different. And I offered, I said, hey, since we beat Dark Souls 3, what are we going to do now? Well, how about Nioh? Do you still have it? Because I'm sure they gave it to you on PlayStation Plus for free. I had the disc, but I also put it in the library, for PlayStation Plus. So I said, why don't we just do that? And, it seemed like a no-brainer, like the best idea ever. So we get Nioh installed and we get ready to do it. And we come to find out that when we get ready the next day, it's like, wait a minute. I missed the Travis Scott event in Fortnite last time. And apparently they have a new event with, it was Dylan Francis, Steve Aoki, and Deadmau5. And I'm like, whoa, EDM? From the 2010s era? Hells yes, son. Okay, this is all you had to say. I'm there, Oh man, like I had to. I don't fuck with Fortnite. Okay, y'all know I don't do that. But Fortnite, they have the money, bro. They have that money to get these stars to perform and do these different events and shit. So I'll be there, not for every event, but I will be there when it's pertaining to music, which is one of my passions. And oh my God, bro, that shit was jumping. It made me like it. It's like a phantom pain almost, because it made me want to actually be at a party or a rave or, a club, physically, rather than having to experience that. But I still had a good time. It was a blast with friends. So I'm glad that I experienced that. That was okay. I never thought I'd get a wholesome experience from Fortnite, and now I won't eat complete crow. I'll eat like, a wing of a crow, 1/4 of a crow, however you want to slice it. But yeah, that's one thing I'll give it to its credit, because credit what credit is due around here. We keep it real. So, other than that, yeah, so we went into Nioh, and boy, you want to talk about some cheeks getting clapped? And not me, but my friend. I'm trying to introduce him into it so he can, kind of get a feel for it. But boy, Nioh's been kicking ass, and that game does not pull punches. So, but he's getting the feel for it. He's starting, he's coming along. Of course, I'm using my level 120 character to, just push things along, but still at the same time, I'm not just completely holding his hands. He's getting wrecked a few times, sometimes by his own fault and sometimes just by sheer bad luck, and other times by my fault. But yeah, good time, good experience all over. Again, another game. I won't really go into the plot of Nioh or anything else like that. But if you do see Nioh and you didn't get it for PlayStation Plus, I highly recommend it for those who are crazy about the Soulsborne mechanics, and they're looking to scratch that itch before Elden Ring comes along. So help yourself to some Nioh, and then you can grab Nioh 2 down the line. But don't go into this thinking it's going to be easy because you're good at Souls. All right, you're going to have to learn a different game here. Like, this is like blade fighting styles, different weapons, and 3 stances for each weapon, which is high, mid, and low. And each stance has its own advantages and disadvantages. It's insanely good. And yeah, so man, good ass game. I want to play 2 kind of. But anyway, before we move on, I'll give a quick rundown of the co-op system that really boggles my mind, that affected our experience a little bit. Is that when you co-op, the only way that you can summon someone is if you stand in front of a shrine, which is the equivalent of a bonfire. And at that shrine, you summon a partner online that can co-op the stage with you. Now, the requirements are the partner that you summon must have already beaten the mission that you're currently on. And 2, he must have a matching password with you to, make sure that you two are the ones that match up. And then it's good on his end. On the other end, though, the one doing the summoning has to have an Ochoko cup, which are supposed to be like ceremonial teacups or whatever. It's supposed to be something for like, you leave it at shrines for spirits or whatever. Some type of weird Japanese spiritual or religious ritual. Ochiko cups do not drop, yo. Like, them things are rare. And like, in all the time that we've been playing, I don't know if it's something with my character and his drop rate or the fact that I was the summoned, but I was just picking up hella Ochiko cups. And then meanwhile, he's getting like 2, 3. After an hour of gameplay, he'll get like maybe 5. 3 hours of gameplay later, he still has 5. He might have found 2 more in those 2 hours later. So it's like, it drops like that frequent, But we've been making it work. So basically, because of the limited amount of cups, I have to, if it's like a boss fight or something, we can't do it like Souls and just give it another go. I gotta use my tactics on how to beat these bosses and just make sure it's done. And luckily, I remember this game vividly because every boss, you end up fighting them more than once. Sometimes you fight 2 at the same time and it becomes fucking impossible, but it's still good. Let's move on. So, another game that I've been playing also was DragonBall FighterZ. I actually put a few hours into the lab, played a little bit of the story mode, and some arcade. But before I touched any of the other stuff, I was in the lab for a long time. I stayed in the lab and did nothing but training. Got used to the button layout and, the combo dialing or whatnot. And I only know one combo so far, which is the universal combo. Just down 2, standing, neutral 2, which launches and then go that into a jump forward into a 1-2-1 up 3, which goes into 1-2-1 down 3, which launches a hard launch, and then from there follow up with a 1-2-1-3, which would give you a ground splat, which is where you're still able to be OTG'd by a super for a finisher, and activate super afterwards. And it can do anywhere from, like, depending on the character, it can do anywhere from like 55 to 70% damage to a full health bar. So it's interesting, but the biggest drawback is it's hard as hell to get that combo off, especially from people who know how to play. I went out there online, boy, I got my ass knee snatched. I couldn't do shit yet, boy. I mean, I wasn't ready. Like, it wasn't even cool. Even somebody of my friends, is one of the boys, just hit me up. He was like, "Oh yeah, you got fighters? Come on, boy. Let me make a lobby so I can whip your ass." I'm like, this motherfucker here, this nigga know good and well I just bought this game, boy. I know you scrolled through that what's new. You saw it said he booted up Dragon Ball FighterZ for the first time. I know you saw that shit. It was all in all a good time. No salt. Just a lot of learning, a lot of questions and answers. So it basically is going to be an uphill battle for me to learn this game since I'm joining at such a late time. But I don't regret the purchase because I've been wanting to play Dragon Ball FighterZ for years. And it's bringing me back to my days of playing Marvel's Capcom 3. So, if I get back to my ADD riddled self and wanting to be able to keep up with blocking and shit, then yeah, it is a little fucking fast. I just got to get used to seeing this shit, the animations and the frames, and then I'll know exactly what to expect. So, not a big deal. In other news, I've also been playing The Messenger. This is the one I'm most excited to talk about because The Messenger is dope as fuck, bro. Like, this is one of the best games. I only spent $10 on this game, and this is one of the best experiences I've had. So, like, since Hollow Knight and before Hollow Knight, so long. Like, when it comes to side scrollers, bro, with good mechanics, shit, please. Give it to me, daddy. That shit there goes hard, bro. Fucking Messenger. Now, the reason it's so good, I might as well break it down for you. Go ahead and check out a trailer or something on YouTube. Pull it up and see it. It shouldn't be more than like a couple of minutes or so. But basically, the Messenger whole deal is you're a ninja of a ninja clan, which is already a reference to the Ninja Gaiden from the NES days. The art style is... It's not exactly 8-bit because it cheats a bit, and it's got some real good layered sprites and textures. So I'm gonna just call it 8-bit art style. But it's super good, and the music is also chiptune 8-bit styled music. So, and even that's not truly 8-bit either, because I can hear in the music that it's using more channels than was available in audio chipsets on the NES. So, you know, we could just throw that out as well. Still, that's not counting against the game at all. So don't get me wrong. This game is still amazing thus far. It's a 10 out of 10 so far. Like the experience, the mechanics, the controls, the music, the environments, everything, the humor, the plot. Oh my God, the shopkeeper's humor is so fucking good. So good. It's so good. Like, he literally trolls you, but 9 times out of 10, he usually handles you like he expects you to have more common sense. Like he said, like, there was one moment where you're supposed to climb up to the top of a tower, which is the whole point, deliver a scroll to the top of a tower. And not a tower, but a mountain. You get to like the summit of the mountain and you talk to the shopkeeper and you say, well, it's almost over. And he said, huh, really? You must haven't seen the trailer. It's like, what? Like, he will break the fourth wall in no time just to make you look like an idiot. So yeah, clearly, you know, the shopkeep, he hasn't revealed his face or his character just yet, but he's clearly some type of omnipotent, or, you know. So either way, the reason the game is so good gameplay wise is that jumping feels great. It's a nice arc to it. It's very wide. It's wide enough, not too wide, and it's high enough, not too high. You get to you can vary your jump just by, you know, the amount of time you hold the jump button, which should be standard, you know, for almost any platformer. And there's the cloud step mechanic that changes the entire game. Okay, you have your melee attack button, and with that button, if you attack certain objects like lanterns or something else that's floating in the foreground, in the background, it will trigger a second jump. So, akin to Hollow Knight and being able to bounce off of spikes, which will reset your double jump and your dash, in this game, you get to get as many jumps as you want as long as you attack an enemy or projectile of some sort or item of some sort that takes damage, and you'll get another jump. So you can perpetually keep yourself suspended in one spot in the air over a bottomless pit as long as you just hit jump, hit jump, hit jump, hit jump. And it makes for the most insane looking gameplay. If you like the sound of this, just tune in on the stream, because I will be streaming that this week for sure. I can't wait to get back to that shit. It's so good. But yeah, the messenger is lit. Like, oh my God, it's so good. But yeah, pretty much that's been everything that I've been playing this week. I hadn't been too hands-on with my 3DS. But keep in mind that we're right at the end of the Archie comic series. So I'm going to be diving into Shield Hero. That's next on the old anime backlog. And after that, it's Fire Force, which is another anime I'm actually kind of eager to get into. And after Fire Force, we're going to pick up a manga, which is Soul Eater, and we'll be reading that shit because the anime didn't do it justice. So, gear up for that. And with that said, let's move right on into the news. So, the news for the week, because it's not much. There's been a lot going on this week, but not a lot worth shaking a stick at. There was the Xbox Expo, the Inside Xbox, event that they did completely online through Zoom. And basically it was a bunch of showing off things that's going to be with the Xbox Series X and a few other titles that'll be also still available for the Xbox One X. But still, the main thing that was the takeaway from the Inside Xbox was them mentioning that Assassin's Creed Valhalla gameplay will be shown, Like, he literally said, so let's take a look at some Assassin's Creed Valhalla gameplay. Start the gameplay trailer. Like, he couldn't say gameplay enough. Like, it was just gameplay. Here comes the gameplay, guys. Ready for gameplay? Oh, guess what? Here comes the gameplay. So, boom. They cut to the trailer, show us the trailer, and there was not a lick of gameplay. So, there's only two ways that can be interpreted. Either it was gameplay and the graphics were so good that we couldn't tell the difference between animated pre-rendered CGI, or it was literally not gameplay and they lied to us, and everybody's more ready to believe the latter rather than the former. So I think we know where that's going. So bringing that up to say this. Now, according to PCGamesN.com, apparently the Xbox and Assassin's Creed Valhalla chiefs are both apologizing for the quote-unquote gameplay. Of course, they feel some type of remorse or regret from the display, which did not offer us any gameplay that we could tell at the moment. So it wasn't that much. The article was mostly fluff just to fill out, enough paragraphs. The takeaway is that, hey, we're sorry, guys. We said it'd be gameplay, but there was no gameplay. Sorry. We're sorry. Sorry. Like, the South Park reference. Anywho's, moving on to more news. Call of Duty playlist update brings Warzone's helicopters back into the game. Helicopters were removed that should not have been there in the first place. They removed it because of some bug. I guess they fixed the bug and put it back in, or the kids complained enough about their shitty battle royale to the point where they wanted to put the helicopters back in. So, I mean, hey, I don't blame them, because these kids will... I won't just say kids, but all of these less than knowledgeable types would definitely, if they're willing to spend $60 and 200 gigabytes of hard drive space to play this shit, then clearly it doesn't matter about game balance, so they'll keep playing it regardless. And my battle royale, like, I am thoroughly disappointed because Apex is still king in terms of gameplay and balance, yo. Like, they really care about the game being fun for everybody, and that's dope. Meanwhile, I can't stress these points enough or be more right, because I played a few matches of Fortnite. I spent my bandwidth to download that game. I might as well run a few matches after the event, right? So, after the concert, me and my friend buddy said, okay, let's run a few duos. Did some duos, and oh my god, bro, I went in and I was fragging and getting kills easy, but damn, let me tell you how trash this game is. I can't even do the simplest shit. Walk in a house, open a treasure chest. For some reason, a random turret pops up and it locks me in a room and kills me for free. Or I try to go kill somebody and they summon shadow clone agents that shoot me for them as they shoot me. Bullshit. Like, come on. That's not even a game anymore at that point, okay? That's just gimmicks. That's too much. That's way too much. At one point, my friend opened a vault to get like some good loot and shit. Went in there. The loot was okay at best, and still... we ended up losing because being stuck down there, you're stuck down there if somebody runs across you. But all in all, fuck that game, dude. There's too much going on and not enough of the skill aspect. Too much all that extra shit. So, I'm good. Hopefully, I'll never have to install it again until there's another concert. And speaking of Apex, there's been a lot of good shit going on with the bonus game modes, like in the past several months, dude. From the Bloodhound event to these game modes with they added in duos permanently, and the fucking the Battle Armor event this past week. Yo, So there was an event where like every few days they would just update it, and everybody by default had level 1 armor. And then the next few days it'd be like, okay, everybody by default has level 2 armor, and so on and so forth. And they even, right now as I speak, which I should probably play a few matches, they did an Apex, everybody has Evo armor, I believe. So that's going to be kind of insane. I hope they're dropping extra ammo, because killing them off was going to be pretty tough now. But, because you have to have a purple mag in order to spin and kill. You have to use heavy weapons. You have to use heavy weapons. Heavy weapons in general, if you spin an entire clip, a heavy clip at that, you could easily go past 225 damage. So killing somebody in one clip is going to be a bit of a challenge if they have 225 health. But still interesting. I want to experience it, but it's felt the most balanced when everybody had level 2. When everybody had level 2 armor, it felt so good. It felt so good. It felt so good. It was about who reacted better and who had the better aim. It was so good. Now we got this new event for Apex that's been announced. There's been a new trailer for Loba, the new character who was featured in the trailer for Revenant. The little girl whose parents were murdered, and she's all grown up. She wants revenge. She's crazy about it. She loves it. She's horny for revenge. And her freaking, her whole character model and design is reflected by the blood that is wiped on her eyes, and that looks pretty sick. And she's a thief. So, she has her own set of skills with that. I'm not really terribly, familiar with her abilities, but what we've seen in the trailer, it seems that she can steal people's weapons, and also she can teleport herself by painting the target location that she wants to teleport to. So that's something to behold. Aside from that, looks cool. Can't wait to try her out. Her heirloom seems to be a staff, so that's probably what she'll have. Looks like she has a bow staff fighting style. And yeah, so can't wait for that. I think that kicks off on the 8th. Or, no, not the 8th. What was it? The 15th, 12th, 16th, something like that. Sometime this coming week, I think that's going to kick off. So I'll be there and I'll be ready. Moving from Apex, let's get back to the news. Cyberpunk 2077 developer clarifies in-game purchases mentioned in ESRB rating. Now, reading the article, the main takeaway is thus: people were mainly worried about microtransactions. I was not worried about them, but now I am. And hopefully that's not the case. God forbid that we'll have microtransactions, because this is a CD Projekt Red we're talking about here, and they don't do that type of bullshit practices. So the thing that makes me comfortable, though, and I'm not exactly mad about, is because there's a distinction between what they're saying this is. And that distinction would be, they keep calling it in-game purchases, and it also stated that an in-game purchase will be necessary to complete the game, but it doesn't say anything about microtransactions. So I'm not sure what this in-game purchase exactly is, but hopefully we'll find out soon enough, and hopefully it's not something catastrophic. Okay. Moving on. New Tony Hawk's Pro Skater is coming to 2020, according to Jason Dill, a pro skater. Basically, there's a full interview that you can watch with Jason Dill, and he basically drops the ball saying that Activision most likely has a new Tony Hawk in the works. If so, it better have the same physics engine and controls as the original 4 games. The original 4 games and the 2 undergrounds. It didn't get in. That was when the series peaked at Pro Skater 3, 4, and Underground. Gameplay wise, pure gameplay wise, it peaked at Project 8. Project 8 was the casual filter, the game. Like, if you play Tony Hawk for just the gimmicks and the fart jokes and the titty jokes and the extreme woohoo, jackass type of stunt bullshit, and you didn't play it for the gameplay, Project 8 was not for you. That shit was ruthless. You had to have your combos tight, your balances perfect, your manuals ready to go, your reverts on point. So if all that wasn't A1, you wasn't gonna make it through Project 8. What else was there? Yeah, Underground kind of split the fan base. Not everybody was a fan. Some people loved it, some people didn't. I loved the Underground one. Underground 2 was all right. And American Wasteland, I loved it too, though a lot of people hated it. I didn't realize people hated that game until way later. Like, we're talking like a recent 5 years ago. I just realized people hated American Wasteland. I was like, dude, I fucking loved American Wasteland. Like, that shit was fun. The soundtrack was great. It had the Green Day in there and all that shit. Man, some good. Anywho, yeah. So if we get another, man, I need the soundtrack to be a legacy soundtrack. Like, not only do we need like top 5 tracks from every Tony Hawk previous game, but also we need, or at least the full soundtracks if they could get a hold of it. Cause some of those songs are old as shit, but still stuff like Ace of Spades might be kind of hard to get. But then again, who's still getting royalties for Danzig these days? I don't know. I mean, it's a lot of shit that just, that soundtrack needs to be fucking amazing. It needs to be 12 out of 10, son. Like, if only, it's so many young black kids who never listened to rock music and became rock music fans because of the Tony Hawk series. On top of that, there's even the equivalent, a lot of young, other races outside of the African American race who were introduced to hip hop thanks to that game series. I'm gonna need me a good old soundtrack to match my nostalgia bomb. You know what I mean? I'm gonna need me some classic skaters, some legacy skaters. I'm gonna need me some new age skaters. Go ahead and throw me a Lil Wayne back in there. Go ahead and give me anybody who's really doing it these days. I don't really follow the skating scene like I used to. I mean, come on. It would be hilarious if they had like a soap shoes mini game or scooters. That'd be hilariously stupid. Hell, man, I hope they do it right. Back to the days when it was fun, the video game arcadey style of things, and then the online can be the big expansive shit that they were trying to go for. But just don't fuck it like you did with the last one. So just get back to the roots, okay? If there's anything that's been a trending thing lately, from Resident Evil remakes and Final Fantasy 7 remakes and everything else in between, the Mega Man 11, and everything that Capcom has been doing for the past 5 years, if anything is to be a shining example for what to do now in the industry, is to go back to the roots. It was always the roots. That new shit was never popping. The only reason it was popping because kids were sustaining that shit. Call of Duty everywhere, shooter games everywhere, and then esports. Now that we got esports, all that shit is where it belongs, and it has a new sect of people who love games. Now we have a new demographic, but we can't do away with what made games get us to that point. And it's been proven time and again, because even during that era, the indie game developers have been making Metroidvanias, have been making these classic platformers and side scrollers and whatnot, and they've been making crazy money. Super Meat Boy, you know what I mean? Braid, shit like that was blowing up in the indie market because those games were missing in the double and triple A franchises, and every single game was copying after what was popular. God of War, Devil May Cry copies and clones of Call of Duty. So right now, this is the time for them to go back to their roots. It's the shit that, not because it works, but because it's what the people want, need, and still remember. Get that nostalgia factor working. You wonder why people can't do nothing but hate on Nintendo while they still print their money? It's because they own nostalgia factor, bro. People love Zelda. People love Mario. People love Kirby. Everybody loves these characters. Everybody loves Smash Brothers because all of your favorite characters or characters from your favorite series is in there fighting your other characters. This is literal legal Mugen. It's the Oscars of the video game characters, yo. So get with the times, okay, Activision? Get your shit together. I see you've been doing, I won't talk about your latest works, but get your shit together. Anywho, so anyway, in the next thing over here on GameDebate.com, we have an article about Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is the start of a new franchise confirmed by the CEO of EA. So apparently they're gonna have a little more fun with the Star Wars license and make more single player games. This is bittersweet good news because it's good news on two fronts. One, a single player game was successful and a huge, ugly, bad, terrible, disgusting reputation of a company that is EA, of all people, had to admit that it's a good idea to make more of these single player games without shoving in any multiplayer mechanics or, some type of loot box system. So that's amazing in its own right. But the fact that it's EA is what makes it bitter. But hey, single player games are having a resurgence. It's almost like people are getting tired of multiplayer, which I don't know why it took them this long, because playing multiplayer means you still got to interact with people, and people suck. Am I right? So yeah, good. I'm glad to see there's new love for the single player games, because man, Tomb Raider can't handle it. All right, after the second Tomb Raider, after Rise of the Tomb, was it Rise? Yeah, Rise of the Tomb Raider. I was over the mechanics, bro. That shit was too much of the same. And Shadow, although it looks pretty, and they made a few changes, boy, some of that shit is just too janky for no reason. For to go from one generation console over to the next, and you ain't upped your game, when we can look at Uncharted 2 and 3 and see what they did on the way to 4 and be like, damn, now that's work. That's why I respect Naughty Dog. I respect Naughty Dog because Uncharted 1 was a marvel at its time, but boy was it a hot mess. And then when you get to 2, it was like damn near a masterpiece on every bit of the improvements. And you get to 3, a little bit better gameplay wise, but way worse on the story. Then you get to 4, it's like damn, even better. Like all overall gameplay, story, graphics, everything was better. Music better. Well, I ain't gonna say better because I'm more biased toward the Uncharted 2 soundtrack. But still, it's just if they did it right the first time or good enough, then hopefully they improve and learn from the mistakes and the feedback of the first game. And hopefully Jedi, the Rise of the Order, will be better than the previous. So, and it's always easier to make a better game if your first one's just okay. If your first one was okay and it was enough and it's so good and people was like, all right, this is decent, boom, it's super easy to make a bombastic sequel. Super easy. So just don't fuck it up. That's all I can say. Anywho, that's pretty much all that I could share on those few articles, because it wasn't a whole lot of news, like I said, this week, but there has been a lot of things that are happening. Of course, I skipped most of the articles that had anything remotely to do with the big C word 19. It's just not interesting anymore. Shit's getting canceled, okay? Stuff's getting canceled. It's not that big a deal. I'd rather share some positive stuff to get you guys to look forward to something good in this here quarantine. So, with all that said, I also want to make note that turns out I was closer to the end of the Mega Man comic than I thought. And they abruptly ended it because of licensing issues. And that's bullshit. So, what the fuck? Like, it was so good. And they took a cop-out with the last issue. They just had to fucking... Bro, they didn't even get to a Mega Man 4. Come on, man. they had to do 4, 5, 6, Mega Man 7, then X 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 7, 8, excuse me. Then they had to do Mega Man Legends 1 and 2. Then, bro, that comic could have went on forever and would have been amazing. It's not fair. Fuck. I wish they could continue it, man. It's not fair. That shit lights my heart up so good. I don't want to read that fucking manga because it ain't got soul, bro. It's probably just edgy as hell because weeaboos don't like Western works. They're too fucking biased. I'm not reading Mega Mix. I might read a few chapters. Wow. Damn, that was such a good comic. But, no use in crying over spilled milk. I see a lot of references in the last page to almost everything Mega Man related, from bad box art to friggin' the Proto Men who did the fan made album. It's just so many little even Project Crossover Mega Man is in this last page. That's insanely cool. Even though I hate crossover. Man. Oh, I got attached to these characters, man. Fuck. 55 issues with 2 crossovers. And one, you know it. Poor Mega Man Volnut still stuck on the moon. And on the very last panel it said Mega Bye with the freaking with the death animation and sound effects. The boop, 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 boop. Fuck. Oh, the feels. I hope y'all can feel my pain right now, man, because this here hurts, man. Damn. There was fan art in every issue, dude. Like, people were supporting it. Like, it was so good. Fuck. Anyway, let me get over. Let me stop this shit and move along. Like I said, the things that's coming up will be The Messenger. I will be streaming The Messenger this week, and after that, we'll be playing some more Nioh. Might even stream some of that, but the co-op is so obtuse. There's a lot of waiting around, and it might not be too enjoyable for streaming content, but I'll still give it a shot. And let's just try our best, man. Let's just try our best. Also, since I'm finished with the Archie comic, I will move on over to Shield Hero, and from Shield Hero to Fire Force. So here we go, people. Agents are go. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1, let's jam. And that's another podcast down, you guys. That's episode 11. Here's to episode 50. That's the next milestone. All right. And never forget the channel motto. Always remember that intentions are the most important. Actions ain't nothing but loud, and words don't mean a damn thing. I love you all, and I'll see you next week.